The knocking started around 10 p.m., not gentle, but the kind that announced trouble. By the third thud, I already knew who stood outside. When I opened the door, my wife's brother, Daniel, pushed his way in without so much as a greeting. His new wife, Misha, followed him with that smug smile she always wore. "We'll be staying for a bit," he said, tossing his bags onto my wooden floor. "Hope that's fine." It wasn't fine at all, but I kept quiet. Later, as I was securing the kitchen window, Daniel came up behind me and spoke in the tone of someone giving orders to hired help. "I expect breakfast on the table at 5 a.m. My wife gets up early and likes her routine. You're the host, so make sure everything's done." He didn't request it. He declared it. Something inside me cooled instantly. So I set my alarm for 4 a.m. and prepared a surprise they'd never see coming. I had put up with Daniel for years only because I loved his sister. He was the sort of man who believed generosity meant weakness. He strutted around on inherited money as though he earned every cent himself. When my wife was alive, she kept him in check. She made him apologize when he overstepped. She reminded him this home was ours. But after she passed, he crowned himself the head of the family. He didn't show up to comfort me during my grief, but he always came when he wanted something. And tonight, he crossed a line he didn't even realize existed. 3 months earlier, I learned what he was really capable of. My lawyer forwarded documents showing Daniel was secretly challenging the ownership of this beach house, my wife's property, before she married me. He forged emails, filed claims, and told extended relatives I was illegally living here. He even implied my wife intended to give the house to him. That discovery flipped a switch inside me. The grief didn't fade, but it sharpened. My sadness turned into a plan. I began preparing. Over 3 months, I installed hidden cameras around every corner of the house. I collected everything, his fake signatures, screenshots of his threats, every message where he tried to twist legal claims in his favor. Then I dug deeper. I followed the trail of his finances, and Misha's too. Money wired abroad illegally, false tax filings, a loan taken under someone else's information. I knew more about Daniel than Daniel knew about himself. All I needed was the right moment. And by showing up like a king who expected obedience, he handed me the perfect chance. At 4 a.m., the house was silent except for waves crashing outside. I made 2 cups of strong coffee. Nothing dangerous, just mixed with a fast-acting laxative strong enough to ruin their morning. Because the real blow wasn't the drink. The real blow was timing. At 4:50 a.m., while the coffee sat on the counter waiting for them, I sent out the email package I had crafted for weeks. It went directly to the tax department, his bank, the lender he lied to, his employer, and even Misha's relatives. Everything attached. At exactly 5 a.m., they wandered into the kitchen, sleepy and entitled. They drank the coffee without hesitation. By 5:12, the laxative hit. 10 minutes later, both bathrooms were occupied, and the sound of misery echoed through the house. Then their phones began blowing up, dozens of alerts, then hundreds, frozen accounts, termination notices, furious messages from family members. Their lives unraveled before they could even pull themselves together. At 6:07, Daniel stumbled out, pale and shaking. "What did you do?" he croaked. I handed him a stack of papers, his forged documents, his attempts to steal the house, his own recorded words bragging about outsmarting me. "I didn't do anything," I said. "You did all of this." He flipped through the pages, his face collapsing. "You destroyed me." "No," I answered quietly. "You walked into my home acting like it was yours. I simply reminded you of the truth." Misha emerged shortly after, Mascara Street, her phone vibrating nonstop. The look she gave him said everything. She finally saw who he really was. By noon, they packed their bags in silence. They left without saying goodbye. They came uninvited, but left unwelcome. At the door, Daniel turned back and whispered, "Why?" I closed the door slowly. "Because you mistook my grief for weakness," I said. But it only made me wait for the right moment. Behind me, the ocean roared loudly, almost like applause. For the first time since my wife died, I felt a strange, steady peace.